Welcome, welcome, everybody. Can you hear me? We've got some people joining in from a variety of different places. I see people coming in at the moment. Can everybody hear me? Great. Thank you, Farah. Great. Fantastic, everybody. Great. I'm glad to hear that. Um, just going to get started shortly and stand by. Welcome, Tom. Welcome, Johnny. Hi, Priya. Hi, Shiva. This is great. We've got a lot of people coming in from a lot of different places, a lot of new faces. I'm really looking forward to getting to know everybody and welcoming you all into the network. Just wait a couple more minutes till the top of the hour to get started. What are we doing for timing? We've got about 5 more minutes. So we'll get started in about 5 minutes, everybody. Just giving a few more people some chances to get in and get started at the top of the hour. In the meantime, I'd love to hear a little bit about what you guys do, so please go ahead and share something about yourself or introduce yourself. Let me know where you're coming in from. We've got some people coming in from Singapore, some people coming in from California, a couple of people on the East Coast. Johnny says he's from Bangalore. That's great. Welcome. We'll just give people a few more minutes to get started, everybody, so please bear with us. We'll start again in a couple minutes. A few more people coming in. Just a couple more minutes. Check on the timing here. A couple more minutes. A few more people still coming in. Welcome, welcome. Seeing more people coming in from everywhere. Okay, let's just give it 2 or 3 more minutes and we'll be right there. We'll get right with you. Okay, welcome. A few more people still in here, a few more still coming in, but let's go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome, everybody. I'm Raksha. I'm so excited to have people from all over onto this call today, and excited to share all this information with you. The topic today is Ignite, which is a process that I've developed to help small businesses, and I'll tell you more about that. But the topic really is, why do you need a sales funnel, particularly to build your small business resilience in these times? And Ignite is the 8-step process to be able to get that going. Before we get started, though, I wanted to just get an indication from people. So if you could either just raise your hand or type a message in the chat to let me know if any and all of these apply to you. Are you a coach, consultant, an expert in your field, or a service provider looking for ways to grow your business? Does that resonate with anyone? Yeah, lots of people raising their hands. That's great. Are you an expert, ready to start earning a great income from your expertise? See a few more hands going up there. What about a solopreneur, a home-based solopreneur? And are any of you looking to construct a business to just around your own personal lifestyle? Yeah, a lot of us are looking for that these days as well. How about someone who's with a business but not getting a regular flow of clients? So you already have a business going and you're not getting a regular flow of clients coming into your business. You might be struggling in that area and looking for some tips and things to do that. Yes, I see that's resonating with a few people over here. That's great. And or a business owner looking to grow specific campaigns to specific niche markets and attract clientele. Yes, I think that covers just about everybody here. Seeing a couple of people saying things. Great. Well, if you answered yes to any of those, you're in the right place. Um, just in the interest of time and for conversation, this is going to be, we're going to have all the microphones muted. There's a lot of material here, but please do feel free to ask the questions. I do have some of my team available to try and help support and field some of those questions. And anything that does not get answered, we will answer in the BBR network, the Build Business Results Network Facebook group, which you're all more than welcome to join. And someone from our team can put the URL for that Facebook group into the chat for you guys. Any resources that I mentioned are going to be available to the community, to the BBR network community. So if you are looking for anything that I mentioned here, do reach out in that Facebook group. We'll try and make some things available to you. What I'm presenting here is intentionally intended to be a little bit of a generic approach. So you're going to have to adapt this to the particular business type, stage, and maturity, but all of it is intended to be easily adaptable to any type of business state or maturity. All the information is gathered from a variety of different sources, as well as from my personal experiences working with my private clients. We're not going to be distributing these slides, but there will be a recording, but we do suggest that you take some notes if you're willing to, and you're more than welcome to screenshot the screen if there's something in particular you want to capture. So I wanted to start off by just sharing a little bit of information about me, and rather than me spouting off a whole bunch of bullet points, I've got this 1-minute video that I'm going to go ahead and share with you. BBR team, could you just confirm that you can hear it? Okay, I'm getting some messages from people saying that the audio cannot be heard. Um, hmm. Despite the number of times you test the technology, it always starts to do something. Let me see if I can just adjust this. Can you hear it now? Okay, all right, my apologies, everybody. Um, Let me see what I can do. I'll try one last time. If not, we'll skip it. Doesn't matter how many times you test it. um, Hear it?
Raksha Sukhia is a business growth strategist, a published author, and speaker. Raksha is a certified transformation and sales enablement coach with thousands of coaching hours guiding CEOs, senior executives, and their teams to performance breakthroughs. She pioneered one of the fastest growing innovation and knowledge management movements globally. She started 2 of her own businesses and works alongside business owners and CEOs to drive sales growth year on year. Raksha's run regional marketing teams for a multinational corporation across 9 countries. Raksha founded the BBR Network as part of her mission to redefine small business owners' growth and success stories. The BBR Network provides results-oriented business owners with the tools and resources they need to fast-track their growth and profitability. Raksha Sukhia, founder, Build Business Results Network.
So I founded the Build Business Results Network because I wanted to help small business owners. So that's really kind of the reason that I was doing it. I'm a real believer that can you guys hear me still? Okay, good. I'm a real believer that innovation comes from collaboration. And I've had that experience before, as you heard in the video, having started organizations. So I built the BBR network as a network of small business owners helping each other to grow. And the reason that I did that is because of the financial reality. These are some numbers that come from a gentleman by the name of Dan Kennedy, who's considered one of the founders of sort of magnetic marketing or inbound lead generation processes, inbound direct marketing. He's one of the founders. Unfortunately, he's recently passed. But one of the things that Dan said, that regardless of energy of industry that you're in most businesses, there's only a small percentage at the top. It's 1% that create true, tremendous wealth. There's a smaller percentage, about 4% or so, that do very, very well. 15% earn a good living, but 60% struggle endlessly, and unfortunately, 20% fail. And if you look at the numbers of the Small Business Administration, it's pretty much consistent. 1 in 5 small businesses fail. And the main reason that they do fail is that they just don't have an adequate business growth approach to be able to acquire clients in a strategic way. Most of them approach things from a tactical perspective instead of strategically. So in all my work, I realized that what really makes somebody successful in terms of building a strategic marketing system, particularly in this digital era, cuts across a variety of different domains. It cuts across business development, it cuts across digital marketing, it cuts across email marketing, content management, and a variety of different areas, including organizational and psychological behavior of clientele. And what's really needed out there, and to be able to learn it for small businesses, and I've been through some of these pains because I've been through this thing, is a very, very, very strong and slow learning curve. It's hard to get to know what you really need to know in all of these different domains to be able to put something together quickly. And as a small business owner, that it's speed to market that really makes us successful. Otherwise, we end up flailing. The I'm as you may have as you saw earlier, I'm also a licensed sales coach, and I work in the area. I've worked with a lot of salespeople, and one of the things that I started to realize is that one of the biggest challenges for anyone who's in a sales type of role is this whole conundrum of getting out there and establishing a pipeline, or what very many people call the cold call burden. It's that getting out there, networking to enough people, touching enough people, getting them through the pipeline, and being able to do it. And so I began to start wondering if we could start to be able to draw in prospects in an inbound way, such that we weren't constantly having to go outward to find our prospects and our clients and our customers, and we could nurture them. Then that's a way that we could be supporting. That's one of the reasons I started to go down this path, to learn and go down in all of this area. There is a little bit of a science to the online marketing space, and most of the training leaves you in a place where you just don't have the support, and it leaves you with a whole bunch of information that you've got to try and figure out how to implement. And a lot of it isn't really on point and instructionable, or, a lot of people fall victim to what Dan Kennedy calls the advertising victims. People charge you a lot for different types of programs, and you just don't get the results that you need to do. When the reality is that, most of us are in this trap. We're looking to the cycle that we want is that we want to be able to attract a good quality of prospects that are resonating with our business and actually want to and are able to buy our services. We want to be able to convert them to customers quickly. We want to have a high conversion rate so that we can be generating significant near-term results. We want to be able to deliver them great value. That's why we're all in the businesses that we're in, is because we want to serve our customers and our clients and increase our retention rates and be able to continually serve our clients. And we want to be able to start developing what I call raving fans, solidifying our income and reducing the need for us to have to continually go out there and seek new clients. The unfortunate reality is this cycle is something that can progress very, very slowly. And the reality of what happens is that we end up attracting non-ideal prospects. Therefore, we have a pretty low conversion rate to customers. So we're out there, we're generating, we're getting people into it, we're talking to people, but very few people actually become our clients. Therefore, we struggle to deliver significant near-term results for ourselves, for our business, and sometimes for our clients because of it, because we're in this conundrum of constantly trying to bring in more clients. And we end up, and the unfortunate world for those of you who are coaches out there is that, the typical drop-off retention rate for coaching clients can be as little as 3 months on a 12-month contract. So we end up generating short-term clients, short-term results, constantly in this cycle of having to get more clients, but they're not ideal. We're not converting them very well. And unfortunately, this is a cycle that creates us to have instability in income. And, we fall into the 60% struggling constantly kind of bucket. And we become, things become unstable and we're unable to, and we're constantly having to add and do more promotions to be able to get clients into the door. So what's happening here, right? The main thing that is happening is that we're marketing to the wrong people. And we're saying the wrong things to those wrong people, or we're saying the wrong things to the right people, right? We're asking them to do the wrong things. Where a lot of the people that I work with are trying to get into, they think that if they could just do a Facebook ad and get out there, they can just attract as many clients as they want. So they think that social media or PPC advertising is the solution. Or we end up chasing our clients. So we're constantly chasing prospects, somebody that's shown interest, and chasing them to try and become our clients. And one of the key things here is that there's just no follow-up and no marketing system. The challenge is that since in the 90s, there's been a huge shift in the marketplace where the buyers have all the power. And the sellers, as sellers, we have to be at our buyers' mercy to some extent. And that's even before the COVID crisis hit, right? So now we've got the COVID crisis. And that's creating a real fundamental shift in the way that we market our businesses. A very traditional marketing model, many of you might have heard this, is to look at marketing from a product, place, price, and promotion perspective. Well, what the COVID world has done for us is it's created this whole kind of disruption in the market space in terms of what it is that we're doing with our product, price, and place. And we are being forced as marketers to be able to pivot. I mean, we need to pivot, right? Changing or pivoting our marketing strategy is really what's going to keep us alive in the long term. If we're already in business, and we may be really needing to fundamentally think about it. And if we're starting up our business, this gives us a huge opportunity to be able to turn our business around, to be able to look at it in a different context and be able to reach customers faster than our competition. So when we start applying principles that I'm going to share with you into our marketing, what we're doing is we're reducing the depth of the downturn that it takes on our business, and we're helping to accelerate our business recovery. It kind of looks a little bit like reducing the curve and the impact on our businesses, and a lot of small business owners are taking a look at what they need to do. And we've seen this in recessions time and time again. In the last recession, it was noted that marketers spent 14% more on online ads than they did in the pre-recession. And that's some information and some study that was done by Harvard Business Review. The reality is that we do need to kind of take a look at our product in a deeper way. And the real thing here is significance, right? Customers' mindsets may have changed. Pricing may require some rethinking. Place, these days it's online, which is why we need to have a sales funnel and an online inbound lead generation mechanism, and promotion. And that's the tactics and medium that we're going to be using. So if we're looking at this from the question of how do we get from this non-ideal client attraction cycle that we have to the ideal state that we're looking to be in, what we really need to do, particularly in this market, is we need to go online. And what we need to do is we need to do it quickly without spinning our wheels, and we need to be able to create a marketing system. But guys, that doesn't have to be complicated. And one of the challenges with getting out there and trying to create a marketing system is most of the material that's out there is very complicated, and it can be very confusing, but it really doesn't have to be. And one of the things that I realized, and one of the reasons why I created the Ignite program, is that I realized that there is a way to simplify this and to cut across all the different domains that people would need to learn, that all of you would have to be able to apply to be able to simplify this for people. And that's why I created the Ignite program. And I tried to make it in a way that it would be actionable and easy for people to do, because one of the problems, and this is something I've experienced, is that a lot of those courses out there leave you in a place where you're just not getting the support to implement. And it doesn't have to be that way. So here's some of the keys. If you take nothing else away from this webinar, take this away, right? The first and most important thing that you need to do is you need to look at your positioning. There's a concept we call the market dominating positioning, which is essentially it's essentially the gap between your customers, and I'm going to just go into this a little bit further. The gap between what your customers are currently wanting in the marketplace, or the pains that they're feeling, and the results that they want in the marketplace, with a combination of what your competitors are offering, so that you are actually offering something that we call innovative positioning in a different way, so that you are coming at your market and at their pains in a different sort of way. So that's essential for you to spend some time to really think about. The next thing is the conversion equation, and I'll go into that a little bit further, but it's really just a simple way to think about how you're actually using your content to convert your customers. Are you really speaking to that pain point and to your market dominating position? You need a compelling informational offer, and you need to have a strategic marketing campaign. So the reason that I built this Ignite process was to give you the 8 steps to be able to really leverage the power of direct inbound marketing, because it can be extremely powerful, and it can really help you to be able to shape the business that you're looking and desiring to have. And it can get you there in a much, much quicker way than the way that we've traditionally gone about building these businesses. And it helps you to build the right foundation for your marketing, so that you can be continually generating new products, creating new value for your clients, and magnetizing your clients in a way that you can predict what your revenues are going to be and what you're going to be getting into your market space, as in terms of clients. So you can understand how many clients you want, and you can be adjusting, kind of like a dial, your process to be able to do it. And it's a pretty simple 8-step process. So I'm going to run you through this 8 steps. In the Ignite program, each of these steps is a particular module. And each of these steps, we go through the details, and there's workbooks, and there's things to be able to do. But some of this, if you wanted to, you could just pick up and try and do for yourself here. So the first one is the positioning. As I said, you need to get your marketing positioning correct. And this is something we spend a lot of time at in the program, because it's really, really important. I'll go into that a little bit more in a bit more detail. Step number 2 is developing your messaging. And that includes your brand story, developing yourself as if you're the expert, or your brand as the attractive character. The third step is actually mapping out an inbound lead capture process, and then putting the right kinds of automation, understanding how you're going to generate traffic and how you're going to build your landing pages using that conversion equation that I mentioned to you earlier, so that you are converting traffic that you're leading to your landing pages into customers. You want to be able to build your product and your packages in a way that is leveraging the concepts of a value ladder. And the reason that you do that is so that you can maximize revenue, but also so that you don't compete on price. So this is a very, very important thing, because you don't, especially for those of you who are coaches or experts in a field where there's a lot of other people who do very similar kind of work, you need to be using the combination of your market dominating positioning, but also your product stacking, to be able to differentiate yourself in a way that you're just not competing on price. Because otherwise you're sitting in this reality of the time for money game and competing on an hourly rate, which is not an ideal situation for revenue generation. You want to be able to be creating the right kinds of copy. So you want to be able to develop a framework in which you are converting with your copy, as we talked about before, but importantly, so that you can nurture your clients through what we call a drip campaign. It's basically taking them through a customer journey. And then you want to be having the right kinds of business essentials, metrics, and tracking in place, so that you could be monitoring your campaigns. And this is what I was talking about, where you could be dialing up or dialing down depending on how much business you really want to get. So this is what you want to get in this process. This is what the Ignite program covers in 8 weeks. It is a deep dive, and it gets you right into these stages. So each module for the Ignite program is a dedicated module. Everybody with me so far? Comments? Great, great. Okay, so the key thing here is that with any business, what your core asset is your list. It's your list of customers and it's your list of prospects. And as I mentioned before, these days, when you look at a marketplace, what you're basically seeing, if you look at a triangle of the number of customers in your market space, only about 3% of those customers are in that top level where they're going to respond immediately to any kind of initiative you do. Even if it's a cold call, or it's going to a networking meeting, or however else you are attracting your customers, you put out an ad in Facebook, whatever it is, only about 3% of people are going to be what we call now buyers, which means they're going to buy from you right now. And usually that happens when it's an emergency product. So like if you're a plumber and someone's got a leak, they might be one of those 3% buyers. But the reality is, in a services type business, which most of us are in, we're not looking at people who are kind of what we call emergency type buys. And most people, the vast majority, about 60%, don't buy immediately. They're what we would call soon to be buyers. Hold on. Oops, excuse me. Trying to get the laser pointer to work, and now it won't. So the laser pointer's not working, but they're either what you could be soon to be buyers, or they're what we call future buyers. And the key thing here is that there's a journey in which these buyers go through. So what's important when you're building your marketing system is to think about a way that you're taking your buyers from that state of awareness to that state of purchasing and then loyalty. And it kind of sounds a little bit like this. Why should I buy? Do I even have a problem that I need to address, right? So in some cases, particularly in some lines of business, so I'm working with people who are coaches in sort of say the emotional intelligence space, or I'm working with people in a variety of different other areas, right? So if it's something like that, then a lot of your buyers may not have the awareness that they have a need for your product. So you're creating awareness. Then you're also creating and addressing the objections. And this is really, really important when you're looking at sales, because they say in sales that you should always address the objections before they come up. And this is your opportunity to do that as you're nurturing people. You're dispelling the objections that they might have to buy. And then you're getting to that question of who should I buy from? And this is where you're positioning yourselves or your brand or your business in that whole space to be able to say, I am the right person for you, or my business and brand is the right person for you. And then you're getting them to the stage of buying. So what you're really trying to do with a system here is to create something. And the process in which you use is what we call decision forwarding information. Essentially, it can be an email campaign. And that's what we built into the Ignite program. There's some customization that happens. So here's what it looks like. Okay. When you're building a simple 3-step funnel, now things can be a lot more complicated than that, but this is just a really great, easy way to get started. I don't know why my laser pointer is not working. There it is. Okay, so the first thing that you're doing is you're attracting your clients, your prospects, and you're attracting them with something that we call a compelling offer. There's a lot of words in the digital marketing space. One of them is called a lead magnet, or a squeeze page, or a tripwire. Essentially, it's that exchange. You're giving them something of value that is consistent with your product set, and you're giving it to them in exchange for their email address. Once you capture these buyers, then you take them to your product. But if they're not one of those 3% ready to buy right here, right now, then you're likely to be taking them through some sort of nurturing journey. And that's taking them through those stages of awareness, interest, decision, and action. And as they get through that stage, they're likely to go back to that inbound page and be nurtured into becoming a now buyer. Once they become the now buyers, then the task is to maximize the revenue, and that's where your product stacking becomes really important, so that you're not just competing on a time for money type of equation or an hourly rate, and you're maximizing your revenue with a variety of different ways. And for those of you that have seen my book, I cover a lot of 8 strategies in my book and around that, but the main ones are upselling, downselling, and bundling, and also having a variety of different follow-up campaigns, which could look like another process exactly the same as this. The key thing here with establishing your positioning is that all buyers have a problem that they have and they don't want. And this is really important. So I'm going to say, and they all have a result that they want, but they don't have. So I'm going to repeat that. All potential buyers have a problem that they have and they don't want, and a result that they want, but they don't have. And the key to getting to your positioning is to get into that space and to understand that. The next thing for you to be able to do is to really understand what is your market and your audience segment. And there's a variety of different ways. We spend a fair amount of time in the program dicing and slicing this, but essentially it's to look at your audience in a variety of different ways. One, from a psychographic perspective. Two, they could be a tribe, they could be a subset, depending on the nature of your business. There's some basic demographics. They could be women, they could be men, they could be a cross section, they could be of a certain age range, they could be anything. And to create what's called a customer avatar of who your audience is. And again, that's so that you can deeply target them and with your market dominating positioning, but also to establish yourself in the market space, in that gap between that need that they don't have and the result that they want, and differentiate yourself from what your customers are offering in that space. So once you've actually looked at your target audience, which you can do in a variety of different ways, right? So you could be looking at if you are already in business and you're not growing the business, you want to look at your current customer base. You want to look at your competition. What are they doing? And how can you differentiate and pivot away from what they're doing? And in this market space, particularly with COVID, if you are going deep into your market space, there is a way that you could be positioning yourself as essential in a ways that your competitors have not yet caught up to. You want to take a look at your own product and service to see if it actually meets the current needs. We want to turn it into becoming seen as an essential product in this market space and with the mindsets that your customers are currently dealing with. And you want to also be able to choose the demographics that you're checking in. So you're going to be looking at things like age, location, gender, income level, educational level, marital status, and any other kinds of differentiating or psychological factors that you might need. With me so far? Great. Getting a few comments coming up here. Fantastic. So when we put together a magnetic marketing funnel, the first thing we're looking at is what we just talked about, our market. The second thing we have to look at is the message. And we really want to be able to come up with what we call an irresistible offer framework. And we want to be able to identify ourselves and our brand in a way that becomes truly compelling to our market set. So once we really understand who and go deep into who our market is, then we want to get deep into our message to make sure it resonates deeply with those folks. And they have to be aligned. And the next step is that we look at the medium in which we're communicating with them, which includes the landing pages and the variety of other things that we look at. So step 2 then is to develop your messaging, right? And it's addressing that second part of that equation there, which is the messaging, okay? And the way that you do that is you clarify your message. So the truth is, the average consumer these days encounters about 3,000 marketing messages a day. I'm sure you all have experienced that. Hands up, anyone who feels overloaded with the number of marketing messages that they get every day. Yeah, seeing some hands coming up here, right? The the thing is, most of them are ignored. Most of these messages are just noise. And that's because if you think about a consumer's brain, right, they're constantly making sense of everything that they're getting in terms of these marketing messages. And most of it is fluff. Most of it is platitudes. Most of it is things that are just not directly relevant to what I was talking about, which is the needs and the results, right? And if you're not speaking directly into that space, you're going to get ignored, right? What customers really, really, really want to know is, can this brand or can this person really help me to get what I want? And so that's what we need to tell them. And one key way to do that is story. So when you're thinking about your brand story, and this is a framework that's borrowed from a guy who I think is really awesome, and this book is amazing, called Building Your Brand Story. But here's the quick kind of summary, right? When you're developing your brand story, you're looking at, it's a basic story. If you think of any Hollywood film you've ever seen, right? There's always a character. You could think of them as a hero to some extent, and they have a problem, or they have a result that they're trying to, a desire or a goal or a vision, right? They need a guide, okay? In this particular case, that guide is you or your brand, right? Who gives them a plan, calls them to action, which ends up helping them to avoid the failure that's imminent in some cases and end up in success. Isn't that pretty much the format of just about every story you've ever seen and every movie you've ever seen? Yeah, right. The key thing here, though, when you're doing this and as you're creating your brand story, and this is not something you necessarily have to promote on a website or anything, but it's important to do this, and there's a variety of different ways you can do this. Some of that could be in your introduction videos, and one of the things that we do in the Ignite program is, at this stage, everybody is creating a story, and they're actually creating their brand and video story as part of the program so that they have it, because this is foundational marketing material that they need to have, right? But the key thing here is, you are the guide, you're not the hero. So when you're positioning yourself in the market space, you want to be positioning yourself as that guide character versus the hero. The hero is your customer. And that's kind of important in your positioning. There's this concept that's borrowed from a gentleman by the name of Russell Brunson. I'll show you a video of him a little bit later. Another guy who's sort of worked with the Dan Kennedys and the variety of those like that, and he's really cracked the code on a lot of things. He describes a concept called the attractive character. And the key thing about an attractive character is that you're really trying to get people to know and trust you. Okay, that's the main reason to be able to be developing yourself as an attractive customer. And the mistake that I see a lot of people making, and I guide people through in this program, is not to be too perfect. Okay, your customers are looking for authenticity. They're looking to be able to trust you. They're not looking for flawlessness, right? Every character has its elements, and some of those are flaws, and some of those are backstories, and some of those are sort of the journey in which they have gone through. And those are the things that attract other people. So the attractive character is something you should think about, particularly if you're a solopreneur and you're looking to develop yourself as a way that you're attracting clients. So for those coaches out there, you are the coach, you are the attractive character in this case, you are the guide, right? So you have a process in which you're taking people through, and you have an identity, you have a storyline, and you have elements. So one of the things that we do in the program is that we start to build out this attractive character for yourselves, and most people can be able to turn that into a video or turn that into something that you can use. So this is something you should think about as you're pitching your business. The third step then is to map out your three-step capture process, and it looks something like this. And just to simplify it, there's the who, that's your target audience. There's the where, that's your traffic. It could be social media, it could be PPC, it could be a private email list, it could be your networks, it could be whatever you choose. And this is something you will identify as you develop your funnel. And then you have the bait, which we talked about, which is a value nugget that you're giving to your clients in exchange for their email address, and then you're attracting them into the results. So the basic formula looks something like this. It's like fishing. You have a hook, and you hook in your customers. You have a story that you tell them that's compelling to them, and then you have an offer in which you give them that they are now compelled to work with. And if they're not, you're nurturing them through a follow-up campaign, and nurturing them down that buyer's journey. So that's essentially the formula, right? That's what you're doing. When you're growing your business, you may start off with one set of these, but as you grow your business, you're going to end up with multiple hooks, multiple stories, and multiple stories for every offer. So this process that we're going through can be reused in a variety of different processes. Does that make sense to everyone? Making sense? Great. Okay. So that's essentially what I described here in this ongoing lead process. And the way that you go about doing it is you break it down. So we've talked about the traffic, right? The next thing is you develop the email capture mechanism that you're going to be using when you're offering them the lead magnet, to be able to capture it in exchange for you capturing their email address, and you're delivering them something. And in the meantime, in between, you've got that landing page offer that you're doing where you're telling them about the upsell offer. So this is the revenue generating mechanism, right? And then you're delivering to them that offer. So this is essentially the formula that you will use. So as you're going about thinking about your own product stack and your own product offer, this is a process that you need to think through to be able to do that. Now, it can get complicated, but it doesn't have to be. And this is the process that we work through in the Ignite program. We keep it simple because then it's replicable. But when you replicate it, it can actually look like quite an automated process, right? So you have a variety of different emails, you have video offers that come in, and our business advisory for our private accelerator program members has a lot of these things available for people to be able to access. But it can become, the main point here is that you can layer it on. Initially, however, you really just need to know a few things, right? What are you selling? And again, you want to tweak that as we discussed. What's your traffic source? What's your lead magnet? And what action do you want them to take after you, the lead magnet? And then there's some principles that you could be using in terms of direct response marketing that you could be using. And I'm not going to go into the details of that just in the interest of time, but there are also some key elements about a landing page that you would then design. So one of the homework assignments in this particular case is that we work together to get all of these factors into the landing pages and design them up for people so that they have a compelling offer established, and then they are able to convert that into this three-step funnel. So here's what it might look like. This is one of my very early funnels, and it basically offers a copy of my book. So that's what I'm selling is the one-on-one consulting and coaching. The source of traffic that I used early on was a joint venture partner working with specific joint venture partners. The lead magnet was the e-edition of my book, and that's still available to people at that URL below. And the action that I wanted people to take was to work through some of those 8 strategies with me in a 45-minute business breakthrough conversation. So this is a very, very, very simple funnel, right? This is something that people in the program are building. Here's a simple webinar funnel. This is one that we did recently where we have, again, the joint venture list that in this particular case, it was the lead magnet was a webinar very similar to today. And the action was to be able to build a resilient strategy session. But again, it's the same similar process. It's a 3-step process where you have a certain number of pages. And this is what we work through in the program to actually break that down once you've done some of the ground foundational work. The next step is to really think about how you're going to put it all together. So you're going to be looking at the technology. And technology in the marketing world can be super, super complicated. but it really just doesn't have to be. Right? There's some key elements that you look at. So you have whatever you have in terms of your websites or however you're doing, whatever you're doing, you can work from exactly that point. It doesn't require a whole lot of technical development, and there's a lot of tools out there. So we break that down in terms of what the functionality is of the tools. The main thing that you need to be able to be doing is to be able to integrate some sort of email automation tool into whatever it is that you're using as a front end to build your funnels so that you can do that follow up and nurture people down those campaigns, right? Something we don't spend as much time on the program, but it's something we spend a little bit of time on is traffic. And I've been asked to put another program together, which I might do. But the key thing about traffic is there's a variety of different sources of traffic, and it doesn't have to be paid, right? The challenge is that organically grown traffic is generally the preferred source of traffic. However, it is not necessarily the easiest, it's a slower process to be able to create. Right? So we look at, you may want to blend that depending on how much you want to invest or how many customers you're trying to draw in early on. So we have a little bit of a discussion about that, but I'm available to have that conversation in the community if anybody wants to do that. And there's a variety of different ways that you can attract traffic, and none of this is rocket science. You know, referrals, mass marketing, email marketing, public relations, community service, partnerships and joint ventures is a very, very big one, and it's one that I highly encourage. And there's an entire chapter in my book as to why. And I get into that just a little bit. But partnering is a very, very good way to be able to upsell, downsell, bundle, and cross-sell products, which is revenue maximizing. And it's also a really great way to be able to draw in a new customer set. Going social, you got to go social. But the key things here is to be able to be authentic and real, and to be able to put yourself out there. And I know that's very, very difficult for a lot of people. And it honestly was for me too. But you want to be able to, if you ground yourself in the fact that you're offering value to people and you're being useful, you will see success. And you got to just trust in that. And then you consider different other types of traffic means like SEO, hashtagging, various things, looking at paid traffic versus organic traffic. And then in that case, you really want to be able to monitor and manage the ROI on your campaigns pretty quickly. So step 5 is the product stacking. And the real key thing here is the reality is what I see a lot of people come to me and do is they're doing this thing of, this is my hourly rate. I am a coach or I'm a consultant and I'm billing on an hourly rate. So X number of hours, X amount of time. This is the market rate for something that's a coach or a consultant of this sort of type. And they end up creating a plateau in revenue. This is something you want to avoid as you think about scaling your business. And this is something you need to start thinking about early on in the way that you choose and stack your products. Right? So I've talked about some of the techniques that you could be using in that area, but you really want to take the time to kind of develop something that is easy to scale and systemize, and yet gives you the joy and energy that you are looking for. So in order to give you an idea of the product stacking, I have a cute little video that will give you an idea of how this plays out. Let me just see if I can get it to play. Tell me if you can hear the sound. Yeah, I can't even hear the audio right now. All right. Share with me for a minute if you would spend $100,000 for a used iPhone. How many of you would spend $100,000 for a used iPhone? I don't see any hands going up here. I'm guessing the answer is no.
Okay. And like my iPhone, I can buy my iPhone.
Okay.
Commodity, right? Like you can buy, and like my iPhone, I can buy my iPhone at Best Buy or Apple.com, right? Like it's a commodity, you can buy it anywhere, right? So like, how do we turn that into an irresistible offer? I did this on stage one time at an event. I said, okay, this is my iPhone, I just bought it, it was $600. Like who here, give me $600 for it? You know, everyone's, half the audience hands goes up, and I'm like, but want to try auction off my phone right now. I bet you within 5 minutes now, I bet you I can get somebody in this room to give me $100,000 for this phone. I'm like, anyone want to give me 100 grand phone? And no one raises their hands. I was like, okay. So inside my phone, just so you know, over the last 15 years, I bought every marketing, sales, and personal development course known to man. Like, there's not one that's come through I haven't bought. There's over $750,000 in marketing, sales, and persuasion course. Every course from the beginning of time till now that's ever come out, I own. I know that because I spend so much time on eBay looking for old marketing courses that you can't find anywhere. When they pop up, I buy them, I get them, put them in my phone, and they're there. So they get the courses and send them to my brother. My brother rips all the audios and the videos and puts them into MP4 files, and they're all my iBooks. And I say, here's my iBooks account. And I showed through, and I scrolled through thousands of courses. Like every course you can dream of. Most of them are out of print now. You can't get them anywhere. They're only here. It's like, so there's $800,000 worth of courses that are on my phone. You plug in and you listen to them. Number two, here's my address book. I'm like, there's Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, Garrett White. So when you get my phone, you also get my whole contact list of all the top influencers in the world. If you had my phone, you could call any of them and just ask and tell them that you got my phone and you had a question for me. You can talk to them. Let's see, what else can I put on there? My email's on there, so you have access to every contact, every vendor I use. You have my social platforms. So if you log into Facebook, Instagram, there's over 1 million entrepreneurs. I'm like, and then I started going through all the things on my phone, and then I was like, I'm gonna do a live auction here. I said, who here will give me $600 for my phone? Boom, every hand goes up. Gav, we went to $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. Every point, a couple of those hands dropped. By the time we ended, I got to $500,000. There were 6 guys in the audience, still had hands up. I'm like, if you guys are serious, come on stage right now. But you got to be ready to write this check right now. 6 guys come up 500 grand, or willing to pay 500 grand for my phone. I'm like, why would you, like, 2 minutes ago you wouldn't pay $600 for this thing, why? And he's like, I handed the mic to one guy, he said, based on what's on that phone, that's actually a really, really good deal. And I was like, but it's the same iPhone, right? Like, we have to become good at, like, how do you package things to make this offer legitimately irresistible? And that's the mindset you guys have to have as you're creating something. Otherwise, you're just a commodity. You're just an iPhone like everybody else. You can buy it from anyone. But this iPhone, it's special. It's unique.
Tons of value in it.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? $500,000 for an iPhone. That's how you guys need to differentiate yourselves. That's what creating an irresistible offer looks like, and that's what leveraging a value ladder looks like as well. So the other part of it is that when you're working and you're stacking your offers, you're constantly looking at a way that you could be increasingly delivering value and therefore being able to generate more revenue from your business, right? And from the same product set. So it becomes what we call a value ladder. It's a method basically of mapping out your products and services so that you can visually, continually increase and develop more pricing. And you really can sell anything with an irresistible offer architecture, right? So the key thing is being very clear about what you're selling, knowing your audience, and in this case, better than they know themselves sometimes, having a very strong call to action, giving gifts, creating urgency, offering different types, what I call offering chocolate and vanilla, which is offering options essentially, and being able to deliver and create a way that you could be selling clients to the thing. So one of the things that we focus on here is actually developing that irresistible offer and the irresistible offer architecture. And this is something you need to think about as you folks are all looking at your own product stacking. So for those coaches out there, right? For those coaches out there, yeah, so the whole offer stack is really such a big thing. I mean, really such a very, very big thing in terms of creating it. I love that example. There's another one that I share in the program, which is about babysitting. It's the little kid, again, generating an irresistible offer stack and being able to differentiate from the traditional hourly babysitting rate. And this is how you all need to be looking and thinking about your business. Whether you're a small business or whether you're a solopreneur, it's still the same process that you need to be using. It's just a matter of taking the bits and bobs that you have and constructing it into a really, really attractive package. And this is something a lot of coaches don't do. Okay. The next thing is to look at the conversion equation and the conversion framework for your copy. And guys, this is really pretty simple, right? It is the process of interrupting, engaging, educating, and offering. So the key thing is the market shows that it takes between 20 to 100 touch points before a prospect gets to their buying decision. But if you start to use some of these factors, and you're using these different factors, you can reduce those points from between 5 and 12 points of contact. If you're bang on with the right audience set and you've got the right messaging and you're getting it to them with the right kinds of timing and you're nurturing them essentially down a buyer's journey through the different stages of awareness and of awareness through to buying, as we talked about earlier. So this is what you want to think about as you're starting to nurture your prospects into clients. And there's a variety of different ways that you can be doing that. We go through a process of mapping out what our customer objections are, what our customer psychographics are, and what we need to be saying, and what are the key messages we need to be able to get across. And then you end up constructing your what we call your drip campaign. Not going to go into the conversion equation evaluator. It's just something we created for our network members. It's available for people. It spits out, it's a self-evaluation tool that lets you spit out your own sort of judge your own marketing kind of thing, according to the conversion equation. It's there if anybody needs it, and we can always point you to it if you need to. But the next step here is then you start to look at how do you develop your what we call a drip campaign, which is basically an email automation campaign. Right? So again, we're looking at how do we get in touch with our customers and nurture them. And it can be using multiple sets of media. So for instance, we talk about and we build an email campaign that has a series of emails that are nurturing people through this journey, but that's not all you're going to do, right? Some of you may choose to be able to do YouTube and develop a YouTube channel. Some of you may nurture people, maybe you're business to consumer or business to business, and you're looking at LinkedIn as a primary market. Some of you may choose to do some blogging as a way of doing things. Some of you may choose to do ads. Some of you may choose to go into different types of direct mail programs, and they work. Particularly now when people are sitting at home and mailboxes are relatively empty, right? It's a good way to get attention. Social media, of course, is the biggest one. So you're all over the place and you're reinforcing that same messaging, and you're driving people to be able to know and trust you in a way that they're willing to be able to get to that point of purchasing. And then you retain your customers, and then they become your advocates, because they really do say that you really don't need more than 100 true fans to be able to generate a very viable and revenue generating business. So this is the process that we go about to be able to nurture and to be able to map out the buyer's journey. You will then need to go ahead and implement that in some sort of email automation tool, and you could be implementing certain workflows if they click here or if they don't click here. But this is something down the line. A very simple autoresponder campaign can be very simple and just sequential. And then you want to be able to put all your business essentials in place. So you want to be able to, this is the last step, the last module, where we look at putting your business dashboard in place, looking at where you are and looking at strategies to scale and grow, developing a marketing plan, and identifying and understanding the numbers that we need to know, particularly if we're doing any kind of marketing where we're putting our dollars into certain types of return campaigns. So we want to be able to know how we're doing, and there's some metrics that you could be looking at, and then continually examining the process of being able to increase your profitability and your revenue. And I've already talked a little bit about some of those strategies. We do talk about them in the initial product stack. And then and my book covers a chapter on each of those if anybody's interested in that, or if anybody wants to talk to me a little bit further, we can also do that as well. So that's the 8-step process that you go about to be able to go ahead and create your funnel. And to be able to create the right kinds of inbound marketing that you need and foundation that you need to do. And so this is what the Ignite program started out as. And I decided to do this webinar because it's still important to share what these 8 steps are, kind of thing. But if you did want some assistance in being able to create this whole process with some support, and with a group, the way that I've designed the program is that it's very, very small programs. We have one starting next week that's happening at this time of the day, and then we have another one starting in August, which is happening at the opposite end of the clock. So it's happening in Eastern Standard Time mornings versus Asia time mornings. For those of you that are in Asia or Eastern Standard Time or have different considerations that you want to think about. So the whole process here then is we go through the entire process in 8 weeks, and something's gone wrong here. Excuse me. So these are the 3 new cohorts that have been announced. We are giving a special discount to people, a 35% discount for the next 2 cohorts. The one starting next week already has quite a few people registered for it, but there are a few seats available. And then there's one in August. So as I said, there's one that's happening Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is Friday mornings in Asian times. I've listed Singapore time here. I spent half my life in the US East Coast time and half my life in Singapore time. So these are the time zones that we're communicating. And then we also have one that's happening at 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is Singapore time, 10 p.m. So for those of you that may be, in India or in other places, that may be a good evening program for you both. And so these 2 cohorts at the moment we're offering some discount to. Basically, it's going to be run by Zoom. It is interactive. It's not this webinar style, so there is a little bit of participation and interaction. And I'm limiting the course to maximum 10 people in each program. The program that's running right now, we're getting a lot of interactivity and a lot of discussion and a lot of supporting each other, which is just fabulous to see. So it is a very interactive program, and it's really focused on helping you guys to develop this. So between each module, there is going to be a workbook that's provided to all of you folks with actual worksheets to work through all the different steps that I talked through. And there's some time with me that's spent in between that can be done. And there's also a community that supports you all the way through it so that you are actually able to create. Because one of the things that I find with programs is that it's well and good to just get a whole bunch of really, really, really wonderful information at you. But the hard part is implementing. The hard part is taking what you're learning and putting it into something that's real for your business. And that's what the focus of this is. The reason it's 8 weeks is to create a little bit of intensity around the program so that you actually get it done, but also the space to be able to get it done over the 8 weeks. We've had a lot of really great reviews on the program so far, and we will make those available on our website. But people are finding that sorry, what is happening? My Zoom is being funny with me. So we are getting quite a few different reviews that are coming in. People are finding it very useful to help them clarify. So we've got some people who are in the program right now that are clarifying and getting started with new businesses. We've got a few people that have been in business but are struggling to get customers and are trying right now to look at repivoting their marketing offerings to be able to more suit this this COVID world that people are navigating, which really does make a big difference for people who are solopreneurs and consultants dealing particularly with sort of an emotional space or any type of coaching type offering that people are looking at. And the point being here is I'm really trying to do something different, right? I don't want to just provide a training course. This is what I'm kind of building is something that helps people, guides them to getting it done, but with a little bit of energy. So you're not alone, you're working with people, you're working alongside people who are really there to kind of support you and champion you as you go through this process, right? So again, the steps of the process that you want to be able to go through. And then the other thing that we're providing people with the program is we're providing them with my business advisory. So that is actually hundreds of hours organized according to my business model, which is online for you 24 hours a day. There's a self-diagnostic for your business. There's a roadmap in which you can follow. And then there's a lot of training material that's kind of continuously updated. There's a 52-week training program. There are some group webinars that are sort of pre-recorded type webinars on certain topics that come out every week. And that's available to you and we're giving that membership away to anyone who's joining the program, at least for the next 2 cohorts. And we're giving 365 days. So You're not going to need this if you attend the program initially, but this is intended to give you continued support for 365 days after the program starts, but also to give you access to a community where we can continually support you. You can ask questions, you can get feedback. People are in there doing banners, brochures, these kinds of things, and getting feedback from their fellow cohort, which is just fantastic to see. This membership is actually something that we sell separately for $8.97, I believe that's the price for it. But as I said, we're bundling that into the program for people for the Ignite program, because I really do want, my biggest thing is doing a training program and then that's over and there's no continued support, and that's when you're trying to implement and now you're all by yourself, and that's something I don't want my community to have to experience. So the program is, as I said, small group program. There's 12 months of the private business accelerator experience. I roll up my sleeves coaching. I'm providing a lot of support to the people in the program, but you'll get sessions with me to work one-on-one to really start to establish and shape up what your funnel should look like. The program's live online via Zoom, and the standard pricing for it is $12.99 USD. But as I said, given the fact that it's COVID, given the fact that we are doing this in the summertime for the July and August cohorts. So the July cohort, as I said, starts on the 16th, which is next week. And there's still just a few seats available for that. We're reducing the price. All you need to do is go to buildbusinessresults.com/Ignite program and type in COVID-19, all one word, as you register for the program. And you'll get that bonus for those two cohorts. And for those who need it, there's an additional offer there, because you're going to be building all your products in the program. And if you're one of those people, and many of us are, where you just don't want to deal with the technology and you don't want to deal with the getting all the back end technology and stuff together, we'll work with you to build through the program all your product, and then we'll help you put it all together. So the BBR team is on standby to do that, and because you're doing that, we're offering special rates for that. So that's there if you want it. It's a completely optional thing depending on what you want to do. And I am honestly so excited about the way that people are responding to the program and how they're getting, and the value that they're getting out of it. And I'm really eager to help as many people through this process, because it can get complicated, to be able to come away in 8 weeks with having built this thing for themselves. So I hope that, and even if you don't join the program, these are the things that you need to be doing. So if you do need some support, reach out to us. We're there to really support business owners from not being in that 60% bracket of people who are struggling constantly, but to really accelerating the rate that they get to being in that upper tier of people who are really being successful, but more importantly, really enjoying what they're doing. Because, we've all worked hard to get to where we are, and now it's time to sort of reap the benefits and enjoy our clients and enjoy getting the clients that we want to get and the clients that want to be able to utilize our services, and that's what this program's all about, and that's why I put this whole webinar together. I hope this has been helpful for people. Suresh, yes, you're right. I love that example from Russell Brunson. It's the irresistible offer and structuring it. It's such a simple process if you break it down into the different steps that you need to be able to do it. I'm glad that's a great takeaway. Yeah, stacking is really important. You're very, very welcome, Johnny. I hope it was of value to you. Thanks, Tom. Bye, Katie. I'm here if anybody has any more questions. I'm glad this was helpful for you. I'm really glad. There's a lot of material packed into this, but I'm glad it's been helpful. You're very, very welcome. Farah, thank you. You're very, very, very welcome. I'm looking, please do stay in touch. Dave, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody. Please reach out, join the community, join the Facebook group. It's free, and stay in touch with us. And look out for any additional webinars that we're going to be doing. Absolutely. I'm glad you got some value out of it. Take care. Good night. Have a great day. All right. Bye, everybody. I'm available on this email address if anybody needs to do any follow up or wants to talk. Take care.